What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the Down to the Wire podcast. I'm your host, Brian Costa, and today I have a very special episode for you guys. I know I say that often. I've got criticized for it on my last show for saying it a little too often, but today I'm really excited to welcome in today's guest. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm a huge MLB fan. I've had to have mentioned it countless times on this show already. Being an MLB fan, I try to find, many different outlets to kind of, show that fandom. And one of those outlets that I've gone to, is actually TikTok. While many people will bag on me for saying what TikTok is, I will admit it is, you can find some great sports accounts on there. And I was able to do this. I was able to, be lucky enough to find one in this instance. Joining me on the show today is a good friend of mine. I just met him very recently. His name's Joel. He has a baseball account there. I'll have him kind of go into that very soon. But he covers all things baseball. We're going to be talking about one of the bigger controversies going on in the MLB right now and the use of illegal substances. But before we really do get into anything, I will introduce you to him. Joel, how you doing today, my guy?
Doing great, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Obviously really excited to have you on the show. I watch a ton of your videos on TikTok. I've also visited your YouTube channel a number of times.
It's not much of a YouTube channel right now.
It's the TikTok uploads right now, but man, I love to see it. It's getting over there. It kind of gives me some John Boy vibes. I think some people have said that before.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I love what you do. For anyone who doesn't follow him, you break down a bunch of things going on in the game of baseball. Do you want to give a little shout out to your TikTok real quick?
It's hey_Commy, COMMYHEY_COMMY. It's not like a communist thing.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's TikTok, because that gets communist vibes, and then my name is Commy and that's communist vibes. It's like it comes from like Commodore.
Yeah.
Like in naval terms. So it has nothing to do with like communist stuff.
Okay, good. So that way that means I can actually just upload that on Spotify without any controversy. I appreciate it, man. No, that's good to know. But obviously you have a very popular TikTok account going on right now. I think upwards of 20,000 followers, 25,000 is it now?
Or? It's 30 today, I think.
Really?
It's going. It started 5 weeks ago, and it's at. I haven't looked at it honestly today because I've been thinking about this, but it's doubled in size in the last week. Pretty much since Mike Schilt did his his little thing. I think people are starting to realize that it's
you're just shy of 30.
29,887. Yeah, I'm almost 30. Not that's incredible, but it's think about it this way: there's no Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or anything before it. Yeah, and I don't even hashtag.
Yeah, that's
how
insane.
Can you do that without hashtagging? I don't know.
You usually think with TikTok the algorithm would kill that, but it's incredible, man. I love watching your videos. You make a lot of great content. Before we do get into describing some of the content that you do get into, we had a pretty nice conversation before the start of the show. We talked about about just baseball in general. Tell us, maybe if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you become a baseball fan? How did you really fall in love with the game?
I love all sports. I have a few hockey videos. I like baseball. I like football. I like race car driving. I like sport, right? Yeah. I think the reason I like baseball so much, though, is that it's just so different than everything else.
Yeah.
It's not, you're not taking an object from one side of the field and moving it to the other and trying to get it into something.
Yeah.
For the entire thing is that, it's not, and don't get me wrong, all those other sports that do that, they have a level of action to them, right? But I love the cerebralness of baseball, the thought, all the anticipation, every pitch. People like the shootout in hockey. To me, every pitch is a shootout in baseball. I'm sitting there and watching the catcher. I'm trying to decipher the signs. If you're really watching baseball, that's not what I want to have happen. If you're really watching baseball and you're watching everything, to me, it's the most exciting thing there is. It's just, I'm at the edge of my seat all the time. And they're like, how can you get so excited watching baseball? And I'm like, I guess I have to teach you what to look for, because it's really an exciting, beautiful sport.
Yeah, I think describing it as cerebral is probably the best way to describe it. I mean, I've been known as a person who overthinks a lot of things, and I think when it comes to baseball, that's something that really applies when so many things are going down. Like there's so much strategy to the game where it's the perfect sport for me. I mean, obviously I love football, love some hockey. Unfortunately, the Bruins, being a New England guy, they took a hard L last night, but hopefully they'll bounce back there in that series. But
What
you know
about
what?
the Maple Leafs, though?
Oh yeah, that is shocking. Ugh.
Anyways, you can let
No,
go ahead.
I'm always down to trash on the Maple Leaf. So I mean, just give me the chance. But no, but obviously when it comes to baseball, it's so cerebral. I love talking about it, and it's been an all-time love for me. I mean, growing up with it, obviously my dad got me into it at a very young age. I did all like the levels and stuff like that, but frankly, I was never that good. I was probably like one of the worst hitters on the team. I was the kid who was afraid of the ball. I didn't want to step in the batter's box. I did not want to hit the ball wrong and have it like rattle my hands. I was that kid. And in fifth grade, I actually quit, and I actually quit baseball. And I said, I'm done with this. I can't do it. I quit. Like, I hate the sport. And like a year later, I like my brother's going to his tryouts, and I'm just like, you know what? I kind of miss like the camaraderie of it. I kind of miss it all. And I gave it another shot again. And I came back to the sport, and I ended up, falling in love with it all over again. I really didn't become like a good quality player till I was about 14 years old. Before that, I was benched. I would have never seen a field, and I was able to take that. I became a pretty solid player. Managed to be starting on my varsity team in high school for a good bit, and I was definitely the definition of a late bloomer, but with it came my love for the game. I that's when my love for sports in general just came in. But baseball will always be my first love. That's kind of just like my story with that. How did you kind of come into the sport?
Um, let's just say my team, which I'm not going to mention what my
Yeah,
team
yeah,
is.
yeah.
They had some success when I was a youth,
Yeah.
and that obviously hooked me. I think I saw I think about movies, from a
Yeah.
movie standpoint. Movies will sell you on baseball.
Mhm.
You watch football movies, and there's like Any Given Sunday, and there's a few good ones. Or you watch basketball movies, and there's like Hoosiers, but like when it comes to baseball movies, you've got Field of Dreams, Major League, A League of Their Own. You've got Moneyball. There's a baseball movie for everyone, and I think I'm a big film buff. That's where I work in my day-to-day life, and
Mhm.
so I think, like I've even written, I wrote, I was telling you about my Tommy John script, which,
Mhm.
1 second.
Yeah, no, but as Joel's just stepping away for a sec. Oh, wow, here it is.
It's actually right here, right? So
Oh
this
my
is
goodness.
the, 115-page. This screenplay is in Hollywood right now. It's being looked at. Like, I got it to Tommy John. He approved of it. So
That's
it
sick.
got his approval to be done as a biopic. And then COVID just kind of like hijacked $60 million productions right now. But
Yeah.
if you know that guy's story, it's an incredible story. So
Yeah. I
that's kind
mean,
of a connection that I have to baseball. That's, a little different, is that I love the thematic, cinematic elements of it too. And,
yeah, no, I mean, I definitely love. I mean, you mentioned so many of those baseball movies. They always will have a place in my heart. You brought up Moneyball. I'll probably bring that up to you, towards the end of the show, because I kind of have my own personal thoughts about Moneyball, but we'll bring that up after some of the things going into it. But obviously you don't want to maybe get into your favorite team, but like what era did you kind of grow up in? Like what were some of the players from around the
Griffey.
league? You were in the Griffey League.
Look at, like, I'm pretty much wearing the hat like I'm right now when you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So I think that explains the pursuit of cleanliness in the game. I don't
mhm.
like dirty. I don't like cheaters. Like, that was the guy whose body literally fell apart in his 30s,
Mhm.
and he just said, "Well, this is what's happening. This is when you play the 20s like I played my 20s. This is what your 30s is probably going to look like." And he
Yeah.
just it just all fell apart on him. But there was so much temptation to just be like, hey, turn yourself into a super villain and just hit balls 800 feet. And he's like, no, I'm good.
Could you imagine if,
I've got this integrity thing that I don't want to screw with, like Jeter, you know, the guys that didn't do it in that era. So I think the guys like that I've respected coming through one scandalous era to another, I feel like the blanket term that 99% of pitchers cheat isn't fair to the ones who really aren't. And that's a lot more than 0.4%. You know, it's not just one guy not cheating in baseball right now.
Yeah. Could you imagine if Ken Griffey Jr. just came out there one season just absolutely jacked like Barry Bonds? It would look ridiculous.
I don't know if I'd be wearing his hat anymore. You know, it would probably be a few sizes bigger.
Yeah.
You know, because
his forehead would have
got like, but like that's another good argument for that era, is that like cheating hasn't gone away.
Yeah.
Right. We really felt like we could slam that era for using steroids. And it's like these were guys putting needles in their butts in their houses, right? Now we've got guys putting needles like on their fingertips in front of you.
Yeah.
Like right there. They're just
they're showing it off.
You know, here's me doing steroids, you know, and it makes you better.
Yeah.
It's the same as steroids. It's just as effective.
Yeah. So I mean, kind of with going off that, I think it provides a very nice transition into, you know, what you talk about with on your TikTok channel. You know, you had mentioned to me it was kind of very, you know, all around baseball centric, and you know, in the past couple of weeks you've kind of narrowed down your approach. I mean, you still talk about other things as well, but from what I can tell, your main focus of the account at this point has been you kind of, you know, looking at, you know, pitchers throughout the MLB who are cheating with illegal substances, and kind of, you know, I mean, not essentially outing them, but kind of just like, you know, but kind of just pointing the arrow and just being like, hey, these guys are doing this stuff. Like, we need to do something about this.
Well, it's like you have to see that the explanations that you're getting on so many things are being explained by things that really aren't the truth. Like, look at all these no hitters, look at all the strikeouts, look at all the hit by pitch, all of those things, and they'll say, oh, the hit by pitch, they'll argue hit by pitch is at an all-time high, but 99% of the league uses foreign substance for control. How can you make both arguments?
Yeah.
You can't make both arguments at the same time. You can't say that, oh, they're using it for control, but they're hitting Kevin Pillar in the face and like wrecking his life.
Yeah. I mean, you'd think, but Kevin Pillar actually just got back on the field. The guy's a warrior.
I know. And think
good for him.
And Bryce, like Bryce has kind of been forgot about that glancing shot he took off the eye
from Genesis Cabrera.
Yeah. And that's a wild one, because you look at Ray Chapman, Tony Conigliaro, Kirby Puckett. Like, we've lost guys to this. And this is Bryce at what, 28, 29, peak of his powers. And that an inch up is taking his eye out. And we lose Bryce Harper. And so that steered me towards, like, the focus on spin rate, the focus on the analytics is killing the sport in a way. A pitching coach doesn't look at the pitcher. He's down on the radar gun, or he's on the guy's pitching over here, but he's looking over here on the computer to see if he's hitting 2,600 RPM on the spin. And you're not watching him locate. You're not watching control. Control isn't something that matters. Control is some mythical thing that they can just, we'll teach control. They're not looking for control. They're not looking for Greg Maddux. They're looking for Chapman every time.
Yeah.
And now you've got guys with insane spins, insane velocity. And when you throw something with that little bit of cutting action up and in, and it over rotates and it comes up into their face at 96, as a hitter, it's the hitter's fault because he's leaning in? No, the hitter's got a thought in his head. He's like, I might get slider here. I might get, and so we're going to, like, you idiot, you shouldn't be thinking slider. And then, you know, that's, you can't blame the hitter in a 100th of a second reaction time.
Yeah.
Like, I make mistakes with an entire day. at my disposal. And you're telling these guys not to make mistakes in 100th of a second. And it's just like, that's,
the amount of time you just said that, how many hundredths of seconds just went by? Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you can't even count it.
These guys don't react because also the forces that they're used to seeing on the ball. You play 20 years and you understand a four-seamer. You understand where it starts and where it's going to drop. Now it doesn't drop. Now it may even track up. Maybe it tracks up into your face. And you're just not used to that. Like your reaction times are based on the laws of physics that are now being broken. And you see hitters just up there like, they look like pitchers hitting.
Yeah. It took 14 years, but we're finally getting to see the Matsuzaka gyro ball that goes up. It's about time.
That's right. Daisuke.
Oh yeah. About time.
It's about time the circular spin, right?
Yeah, it's about time we get to see the gyro ball. I've been waiting for this moment. But obviously people were like, this thing, look, that sounds like it breaks the laws of physics, because it does. It does break the law of physics. But as you've covered this kind of topic on your channel, what kind of tipped you off about covering it? I mean, you had mentioned to me that you've known about foreign substances in the game forever, as have I. I mean, I obviously, as a Red Sox fan, I mentioned to you before the show, one of the more famous incidents before this kind of season that in my mind was the Michael Pineda incident when he was pitching against the Boston Red Sox. Remember, John Farrell comes out, he just points at the mound, he's just like, it's on his neck. And like originally they were searching around his wrist, because literally the start before, like he was using it on his wrist, and like it became like a national media story. And they said we wonder what Michael Pineda is going to do next. And this guy, he doesn't even try to like hide under his shirt collar. It's not even like, on the edge of his glove or like somewhere hidden. He literally just has it glopped on his neck. Like he just took a rag and just like slapped it on there. And
like he used toilet paper on himself. Honestly.
No, exactly. It was like, it was so apparent. I was like, this is just ridiculous. Like this is honestly, it's just like disrespectful to the fans, just like showing it out there like that. And, he put it on there. But that was like those incidents. It would come around, in baseball, and it would be like maybe like once a season, it would be like, oh shoot, they got this guy for using a substance. Now it seems like, at least through the coverage that you've shown on your channel, it's become something that's becoming way more widespread throughout the league, and in my opinion, from seeing how you've covered it. I know you mentioned that Trevor Bauer was kind of a guy who had kind of blown the whistle on this thing. When did you kind of feel that
10-year story of this thing? It goes back to 2012 with him. When he was a kid, he was trying to figure out spin rates. That guy was way ahead of the curve.
Yeah. So what in your mind decided to make you say, all right, enough is enough. I need to like discuss this. Like, when did it become enough for you that you said, all right, now I need to like say something?
Well, like look at it so the long-term timeline takes it all the way back to banning spitballs 100 years ago. Let's not look at that. Let's look at it in the last, let's say 10 years. Okay. Let's look at it in the last 10 years. The comment that 99.5% of the league uses foreign substance is usually talking about sunscreen and rosin. Okay. Which is totally fine. Like they take this stuff to drive line, and you find out it gives you maybe 150 RPM increase, right? And if pitchers say they have good control with that amount of increase, with like a 2 to 5% increase in spin, I think that's a good area that we can allow spin rate to increase. 400 to 500 is not good. That we're talking about a 20% increase now, and that's just making these pitches stupid. And so the argument that hitters like pitchers who use this, they're talking about the 150 RPM increase of sunscreen and rosin for control. Okay. They're not talking about spider tack at 500 RPM. Yeah, they're not. And that's not 99.5% of the league. 99.5% of the league isn't using spider tack.
Yeah.
You ever seen an Eric Sim video? He's on YouTube.
I saw you did it. I think I saw you did a video on him. He went to like a batting cage and was throwing.
He's a bartender. He's a bartender. He goes and he's throwing 1800 with his just throwing 80 miles an hour with 1800 spin on it. And he goes and uses pine tar, and it's at 2390. That jumped 700 RPM.
Yeah.
That's a normal dude throwing the ball. It goes from an 81 mile an hour pitch to an 82 mile an hour pitch. It gains of like one tick of velocity, but the spin goes up 700. And you see you see the ball starts tracking in, and you're like, wow, that movement wasn't there. That movement didn't exist. And now it does. Now he's created that just by making his fingers sticky. And that's just a bartender, you know? So that's the stuff that you see, the big spin rate jumps on guys. You see, like, sorry to come down on Garrett Cole. I know he's changed his philosophies. I know he changed his philosophies, but he used to throw down in the zone with Pittsburgh, and now they're like, now he throws up. Sure, he throws up, but 2,400 RPM went to 2,800. You know, the breaking ball's got 2,900 spin on it now. And that takes you from a 3 ERA to a 2 ERA, from 220 strikeouts to 300 strikeouts. These are like Barry Bonds jumps from 45 homers to 70 homers. Like McGuire, like these jumps are similar for a pitcher as they are to a hitter.
Yeah. I mean, for anyone who may not understand like the ideas of like spin rate and all that stuff, how in your mind would you like? I mean, I you know, in Boston sports radio, like they've constantly made fun of Garrett Richards for just they said like, oh, the Red Sox picked up Garrett Richards over Corey Kluber because they like this spin rate, and it's just like, oh great, he can spin the ball faster. Like, what's the big deal? What, like, you know, for maybe like the non kind of like stat, like, you know, focused baseball fans, what does spin rate like really kind of entail?
We found out in the last, let's say 10 years. Okay. Somebody, well, it's 15 or it's 8 or whatever. Let's say in the last 10 years that we've understood that spin rate, they used to have a weird concept for movement on certain pitches, especially fastballs. Yeah. Like Nolan Ryan's fastball had a lot of run on it, or a lot of they call it like ride. That ball had a lot of ride on it. And it's like, that meant the spin. You know, that they didn't understand, they didn't have terminology for it back then, but they understood it in a different kind of context back then. And
and they also didn't have like the StatCast stuff that we have now, that is like able to track it amazingly.
Yes. Back then it was feel. Back then it was like, you know, the way that hitters describe balls traveling and disappearing and then reappearing, like they disappear between, you know, 30 feet from the plate and 10. And 20 feet would just disappear on the ball. And you're like, well, that has a lot to do with the spin rate now and the velocity being maintained in a ball. So like, think of the kinetic energy. This is just one example. If you throw a ball 96 miles an hour, everything's read out of the hand these days. So you throw it out of the hand and it reads 96. If you put 2,400 RPM backspin on it, by the time it gets to the plate, it's going about 92. Okay. If you throw that same pitch, but you gooped up your finger to 2,800 RPM, the kinetic energy is higher now in the ball. There's more energy in the ball. So it maintains that velocity, and and the spin counteracts gravity. So a fastball doesn't drop. It stays level. It maybe rises a little bit in certain occasions if you see some of these balls in the way that they're riding up in hitters. And then the breaking balls are now snapping, and they're coming out like you can jump your breaking ball to 500 RPM. Yeah, that's a foot and a half. And it's late movement. They can throw it with higher velocity, so it like holds true to a plane, and then right at the end, it just dives across, because
I would have had no chance.
Yeah, the slider's 92 now, and the RPMs allow the 92 mile an hour slider to break properly. And you're like, a 92 mile an hour slider? What? You know, it's like, how can hitters do this stuff? And with tunneling, with slow motion cameras, with them learning everything about their body mechanics, about like coiling their spine, late releasing, and letting your, you know, like not letting your arm do all the action out front, letting your torso rotate and building all that rotational spin. All of those natural things that they've taught in Driveline that gives you that extra velocity, that's all great. But then when you add 500 RPM to that, and guys are just exploding and throwing, they got Sandy Koufax's lifetime strikeout per 9 is the league average right now. The league average is Sandy Koufax or Bob Feller. That was the league average. That was the best. Now the league average is that.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Bob Feller. I mean, like you mentioned, I mean, you were mentioning like, like how spin rate is like, I mean, I was talking about like how StatCast and all that has been able to like, really track that stuff a lot better. I mean, when Bob Feller was pitching, they didn't, the only way they were able to measure his fastball, they got military sonar equipment on the field and he had to throw it before game. And that's how they had to do the technology back then.
Yeah.
And it's just the way that they've been able to progress with this technology to actually show it is remarkable.
The stuff of like Nolan Ryan's 100.9 mile an hour fastball in 1974. I think it was 74. He's pitching for Anaheim. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's up there and they've got the radar gun over home plate, not out of the hand the way they do it now. It's over home plate. So that fastball is losing 5-6 miles an hour by the time it gets to home, right? Through air drag and everything like that. So he's sitting there and the record to his understanding is 98.7 by Bob Feller. That's the record that he understands it to be. So he's sitting there and they're like, this has been set up so you can hit 100. Okay. So he goes up and he's throwing the entire game and he's hitting like 93. Okay. He's throwing 100, but over the home plate, it's 93.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there going like, oh my God, I look terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. On his 150th pitch of the night, okay, in the 9th inning, he throws it 100.9 over home plate, which when you jack that up is like 109 miles an hour out of the hand.
That's insane.
On his 150th pitch. And people don't really talk about that, right? Like that's not really mentioned. You watch the fastball documentary and they kind of go into the physics of that, of how it was a laser beam that was projected over home plate. So that's where the reading was coming. It wasn't out of his hand the way it's like right out of the hand is the velocity we do now. And back then he threw on his 150th pitch 101, which was like 108 on your 150th pitch. What? Like that's nuts. That doesn't
just wasn't human.
Yeah, it's his arm is the 5,700 strikeouts. Like Scherzer's approaching 2,700. You have to add a Hall of Fame career to that to get to Nolan Ryan. That's just he only won 30 more games than he lost because he wasn't win chasing, right? He's like, I just want to go play in Texas.
He's like, I'll literally just like go out there and throw. I don't care what happens.
Yeah, he thought he was going to retire at 35, so he wanted to play the last 3 years of his career in Texas, and then pitch till he was like 44, 45, and he's like, "Oh wow, I should have went to New York and won some rings."
Yeah, it's like
or Boston, and helped you guys out in your drought.
Oh yeah, I mean, that would have been great, Nolan. Would have been great. Would have really appreciated that there. I mean, we did have the Rocket at the time, so that was great.
That's true. You got your 2 20 strikeout games 10 years apart.
I mean, eventually he did start juicing too, but.
In an era of juicing.
Yeah, in an era of juicing. So yeah. You do have that. But
I heard it was vitamin B12.
Sure.
No, it's not. It's
sure. No, but but I was glad you brought up guys like Max Scherzer and guys like that too. When you're kind of doing your breakdown videos and you're kind of looking at guys, I mean, obviously this controversy it's kind of erupted more than, like anyone could really guess at this point. But kind of looking at it now, when you're kind of trying to like, when you're making a video about someone, how, like you had mentioned it to me before. Oh, like the guy has to be able to like control his pitches for like a certain amount of time. How do you kind of, make it able for yourself to kind of say like, okay, this guy just isn't like an electric pitcher and this guy definitely is using something? Like what kind of are some of the tells that you look for when you're making a video on a guy? Because oh my bad, I was gonna say like a guy like DeGrom, he might come out there and DeGrom's a freak, and like Scherzer's a freak. Like so like what like obviously those guys are kind of more a dime a dozen. Like you're not gonna find those guys as much like those guys they don't
come. Is if you have the opportunity to go watch that guy pitch, it's like watching Mike Trout or Ohtani. These guys are once in a lifetime. That arm that DeGrom has is. He throws 102 with like 2,300 RPM on it because he doesn't care about RPM.
Yeah.
Just going to throw you 26 straight fastballs that are 101 and he doesn't care. And it's just, that's something else. Like you gotta, his progress has been like this, it's not just this, and whoa, and then through the
Yeah.
roof. Like
Yeah.
it's a steady incline on his velo. He gains half a mile an hour, 3/4 of a mile an hour every year.
Yeah.
And all through body mechanics and everything like that. And I'm not saying that DeGrom isn't using probably like sunscreen and rosin, which is standard. Imagine if DeGrom started using spider tack. Imagine if he jacked his fastball RPM, if 102 became 102 with 2,900 backspin on it, it would go back in time and it would strike you out yesterday. That's what would happen. That's how nasty he is. And he does, I don't think he needs to cheat. Scherzer with his, that thing, like that's he licks it and he wipes it off. That's fine. I totally like Mike Schilt said you can see guys who don't lick their fingers because they don't want to lick spider tack. They don't want to spend their day licking pine tar. So when you see guys going, you're like, that's a pretty good idea that they don't have something nasty on their fingers. Because I wouldn't want to lick pine tar all day.
I mean, either that or they're gross.
Yeah, or they're just kind of interesting human beings. There's that one kid who was picking their boogers and eating it on the playground.
Exactly. Like some guys may just not give a damn at all.
But you were saying, what do I look for?
Yeah.
Some guys are really obvious. Like if John Means, I swear you can hear that of his fingers coming off the glove. It's like his fingers are like bending to get off the surface, and what to look for is they're loading it up on every single new ball in play. That's a really good thing to look for is when a ball gets substituted out. It hits the dirt, catcher throws it away, they get a new ball, guy gets it, he takes his glove off, tucks it under the arm, starts doing the old this thing. He starts getting Garrett Cole going here because he's got some stuff here. That's ball loading stuff, right? So he loads the ball and then he puts the glove back on, and then it's this for the fingertips. It's usually on the thumb or the pinky. If you put it on the inside of the thumb, you're loading your fingertip and your index. If you're got it on the pinky, you're loading your thumb. So it's kind of like you load this and then you load this. So it's some guys, don't get me wrong, some guys have long hair and they're like, they're 2-finger loading here, or they're like, they're bringing their thumb across, all those different type of loading techniques. Belt is very popular, but I'm not going after the guys who have sunscreen and rosin, the basics. I'm going after the guys who are, it's right there. It's right in your face. Like the old school cheaters, like Whitey Ford scuffing the ball with his wedding ring, all those clever things. I think those are clever because they've hidden it from the game, and then they expose themselves later down the line when they're like, haha, I'm a Hall of Famer now, I cheated. There's something brilliant to that. And cheating has always been promoted in the game if you can do it the right way. But when it's just like Pineda, it's like, you have to go to this? Like, what kind of load is that? That's so obvious.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of stuff. And it's the strikeout rates through the roof. No, but 26% of the game is strikeouts. Yeah. Do you want to watch a 3.5-hour game where 25% of the game is a guy walking up to the plate, seeing 5 pitches, walking back? That's 25% of the game. The other 15-20% of the game is the catcher or the pitcher getting the ball and walking around the mound for 30 seconds to load the new ball. It's like, I want to see guy gets the ball, comes set, sees the pitch, throws, and you see 7-8 seconds between pitches, and the game starts going and we get some action into this game. You don't need a pitch clock. You just need to stop guys from doing this. And that means maybe just getting them a ball that they feel comfortable just getting and throwing.
Yeah.
So that's something that's changing too, is ball design. I want pitchers to be comfortable with the ball, but this has to be collective bargaining agreement stuff. We talk about the money that they make. The biggest issue is this thing right here. How do we design it? What can we put on it? Pitchers monopolize the baseball, right? Yeah. They throw the ball 100 times. If you're swinging a cork bat and you make contact twice, you've cheated on 2 pitches. Every single overly spun ball that's loaded with foreign substance is a cheat, and that can be 110 straight pitches, 110 straight times you cheated, right? Yeah. So it's very different. It's steroids only that pitchers can use, and it's not. They're like, batters can use pine tar on their bats. Batters aren't throwing the bats at the pitchers.
Yeah,
that's not. They're trying to hold on to something, not let something go. That's different. actions, physical actions altogether. So those aren't comparable.
Yeah, no, you brought up the corked bat comparison. It reminds me of a story from when I was in I was playing town ball, and it was Babe Ruth. I think I was like a freshman in high school, and we had some kids that some of the kids from our town went to a tech school, and like for high school and stuff like that. And but we all came and we all played in the same town team. I remember this one kid, his name's Nathan, and he comes into the game, and he just goes, "Yo, guys." And he just pulls out a drop 10 bat, and we're just like, what are you doing? He just goes, I'm gonna go hit. I'm like, are you serious? And he's like, yeah. He walks over the plate with this drop 10 bat, and he just absolutely launches the ball. The thing was absolutely tanked, and as soon as he did it, he just flipped it towards the dugout and was like, "Guys, get rid of it." And I think the thing too, I think one, that bat was corked, and then I think it also had golf balls inside of it with it had golf balls inside of it with what else was it? It had like that foam like that you spray in a wall like and stuff like that.
Insulation?
Yeah, but it had like instant insulation in it.
I got you.
And the top was glued on. And man, this thing absolutely flew.
Oh yeah.
That thing was.
I can't imagine. I did the same thing with a wood bat. I loaded it with super balls. That one's really, really fun when you got it all. It's just the wood is going and the rubber just go. That's fun. You feel like you belong in the pros.
Oh, you think you're king? Yeah, you think you're king shit. It's hilarious.
Get the scouts in here.
Oh no, absolutely.
Put on a show for them.
No, I remember this kid hit the ball, hit this thing. I was like, get that bat out of there. Get the bat out of there. It was so bad. It was terrible.
The sound is just like,
it's like, that did not sound natural at all. It's like, what the hell was that? But
yeah, it's different, like the advantage that, well, did you hear what Real Muto said about it?
I don't believe so. No, what did JT
just
say?
Let the hitters use steroids. Just let us use steroids. If you're just going to let them do this, just let us use steroids, and then it'll be fine. And I'm like, that sucks, because then pitchers will use steroids and foreign substance. So like,
yeah. I mean,
imagine
listen,
Chapman using foreign substance and steroids.
I mean,
it looks like he's using steroids already.
It already does. Yeah. I mean, he'd be back at 106 again.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, but just jacking up the spin. Imagine, like, he could throw the ball down and it would go down, and it would like go down to the ground and just hover, and then it would come up and get you on the strike on the bottom of the zone or something. It would be interesting. I
mean, without the consequences of like the health and all that stuff, like after that, I mean, that'd be fun to watch. I'm just saying.
Move the mound back a good 10 feet.
Yeah, I mean,
that might happen, right? That's the other thing why I kind of bring this up, is that MLB is going to be so lenient on this the entire season now, we've heard, which is such a contrast in the last 2 months. 2 months ago, there was supposed to be memos going around, don't do this. Stop it. We're collecting balls. Ooh, they're collecting balls. Ooh, they're going to penalize the Houston Astros for all the stuff they did. No, they collect balls, and then they go after the whistleblower and Bauer. They're like, Bauer, I'm on his balls. And it's like, he's been talking about this for a very, very long time.
I made an episode about it a long time ago with Robert Shelley. For anyone who's ever seen the show, Rob is the host of the Pesky Pole podcast. I talked about it. I thought it was just kind of a witch hunt, going after Bauer. I was like, what are you doing with Bauer? Like, come on, like, what are we doing here? And it has gotten ridiculous. And I had Rob on my previous show, and I talked with him. And on the show we did discuss. We ended up discussing. The last episode of Down the Wire was titled "The Donaldson Report," and obviously Josh Donaldson. Yeah, the bringer of rain is bringing the hammer down. What do you think of what are your thoughts on that report?
Josh, do you know about Josh?
I mean,
anything like about him personally?
I mean, like, what about him? I mean, obviously,
like his upbringing.
No.
Josh, if this ever gets to Josh's ears, I have tremendous respect for you. I have tremendous respect. He had a very hard upbringing, very hard. Like, all the males on his father's side of the family were dead before they were 36 from gang stuff.
Jesus.
Like really, really bad upbringing. Surrounded by violent circumstances his entire life. and baseball was kind of his way out
Yeah.
of the, the life that he could have gone into. And he plays baseball angry. He plays baseball very angry. He goes into the dugout before a game for 45 minutes and he psychs himself up thinking that the pitcher wants to kill him and hurt his family and take his money away from his children. Like he goes and that's his mentality. Sits there and he's like, this guy hates me and I have to hate him back. And he plays with anger. Okay. So he look at his swing, for example. He is not cheated when he goes up to the plate. No. And people go, hey, Josh Donaldson's the reason why people just swing like crazy. It's like, no, Josh Donaldson is the reason Josh Donaldson swings like crazy. Okay, that's his approach. He was told to hit one way his entire life, and he goes up there and he tries to create bat speed. He gets that leg up and he's trying to go at fastballs. He's trying to drive stuff. And that is what's successful for him. And but the point is, he doesn't want to be cheated. He goes up there and he puts everything into that swing. And the concept that a pitcher would go up there and cheat and would trigger a violent rage in that man. Like that man would be, don't screw with me, don't screw with my livelihood. The same argument that the sign stealing was ruining people's careers and pitchers were getting blown up and going down to the minors and their careers were being affected by sign stealing. Josh sees that as affecting him and affecting his career. And look at like league batting averages in the toilet. Star hitters look like junk this year because that slight drop that they're taking because everybody's using makes them look bad. And Josh is just like, you're not doing this to me. I'm not going to let this happen. And it wouldn't be hard for a guy who's got a $95 million contract to put a little bit of that resource into tracking this year and understanding the timeline of it. 2018, when Bauer says, this is an epidemic in the game. He uses it for an inning. It doesn't get any traction. It starts to spread amongst pitchers. It starts to move out of Houston. You got 2020 where Bauer uses it the entire year to win the Cy Young, to make $120 million. What does that say to pitchers? If you're a pitcher who thinks about pitching and this information is given to you, why wouldn't you take it and use it? The information is you'll be a way better pitcher. Your ERA will go from the 3s to the 1s. You'll beat DeGrom in the Cy Young race and you'll call it. Like, talk about Babe Ruth called his home run. Trevor Bauer called his Cy Young against DeGrom's prime. That's nuts. That is insane. Signed a $120 million deal over 3 to make him the highest paid player over the next 2 years. $85 million over the next 2 years. And you're a pitcher. This is explaining why John Means is doing what he does. He's 28 years old. He plays for Baltimore. He has the chance to create an empire, to create $100 million empire.
To become Mr. Baltimore.
Yes. So I'm trying to say this is why those guys are doing it. Like Garrett Cole did it because there's $324 million on the table if he can do what he does. Exactly. And he's paid for it. And if that is an 8-year contract now to cheat. That's an 8-year contract. They signed a guy whose numbers are inflated. So if he doesn't put up those inflated numbers now, if the league comes down on him and says, use this substance the way everybody else does, well, then his spin rate drops, the ERA drops, it goes up from, 1.8, 2.1 to 3.5, which isn't bad, but probably, he's probably a 3.1 ERA pitcher in the AL East. Yeah. That's probably what he is. He can probably strike out about 230, 240, maybe 260. He's not 325 strikeout, FIP in the 0.70s, whip well under 1. That's not who he is. That's not who he is. And he's really, really, really good. He's not generational super god who can go out and throw 61 strikeouts without walking a guy because he wants to. That's what we're talking about here. And think about it from the Yankees point of view. Like, there are people who have a rather Yankees perspective on this whole issue. And they're like, don't worry about it. Let's let the league deal with it next year and throw away this season. Terrible thing to ever say. Let them cheat.
Yeah.
Let them cheat. How about just no more at the All-Star break? How about you give them 5 days and say no more cheating at the All-Star break? Like, seriously, that's it. At the All-Star break, we're done with this, and we're gonna try to salvage this season, because last year was a shortened season. The year before that was 3 years of cheats. 3 years of Houston cheating, 3 straight years. Boston had a bad year in 18 with Cora.
Hey, watch it.
Sorry, Boston guys. But it's just like,
I'm joking.
It's been 3 years of that being the thing, and you were lenient. They were lenient on all of it, and now the leniency has led to more cheating. And now we're in the middle of a season where we know lots of guys are cheating, and everyone says, like, pitchers say they're cheating. We've now got managers saying they're cheating, MVPs saying they're cheating, the best catcher in baseball saying they're cheating, and pitchers saying that this is cheating. So we have established that this is cheating. I felt bad by using that terminology 6 weeks ago. I don't. They're all using it, so I'm going to use it. I'm proud of using that terminology. We know they're cheating, and we're just like, we'll deal with it next year. That's a lot of baseball just to be thrown away to cheat, right? So I don't know. I don't understand that argument. We'll deal with it next year in the collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously, you're very passionate about this topic. Obviously, I mean, I would just say, you're kind of passionate, just a tad bit, but no, obviously,
fanatic. You know where the term fan comes from?
Fanatic.
Well, yeah, the fan. But you know where it originates?
No, enlighten me.
Boston fans. Boston fans in like the 1910s, you had a group of your guys called the Royal Rooters. Nuff said, McGreevy, you know that song? That song, right? Yeah. That's all about this first fanatical group of fans that you had in the 1910s that were just, they were almost as big as the team. And the term fanatic got brought down to just fan because of this group of fanatical fans. So the term itself, fan, comes from Boston.
You're not surprised. A lot of things start in Boston, but
no. Great literary.
No, but oh yeah, but man, kind of going off that. What in your mind would suffice as like the proper punishment for what these pitchers are doing? I mean, like we mentioned for Pineda, I think suspensions for pitchers are like the dumbest thing ever, because like when you suspend a player for 13, it's like he's been suspended for 13 games or even like 20 games. It's like wow, he's not gonna be able to participate in 20 games. But maybe even with a reliever, it's kind of like, oh shoot, like there's kind of some deals there. But when it's like a starting pitcher, it's like, okay, like I remember Ryan Dempster, like Ryan Dempster, he hits A-Rod and it's like he's been suspended for 6 games. It's like, okay, he misses a start. Yeah, it's like, so like, what in your mind, like how are we actually able to, in your mind, how do we kind of enforce a legit suspension on these guys? Because the Astros thing kind of no guys got really punished outside of Hinchin and Lunau.
Yeah.
So like how do we kind of punish these guys, in your opinion?
In the last 6 weeks, I keep hearing it's steroids on your finger. It's steroids on your finger. The numbers say it's steroids. The numbers say that you take a jump. The pitchers take the same jump that the hitters took when they were using steroids. So steroids, how about that? How about we just say that it's steroids and do that suspension, 50, 100 ban, right?
Yeah.
No, I know that seems
that's
much,
typically what it is.
But let's just do that. Let's just really, like, think about it this way. You want to punish steroid guys for hitting home runs and making fans cheer. Okay. Strikeouts are exciting, but like, I don't know if you've ever seen Bull Durham. The catcher goes, stop trying to strike everybody out, throw some ground balls. They're more democratic. Stop being such a fascist, stop making it just about you. And that's what I see. I see this cheating doesn't make the game more exciting. It makes a guy come up to the plate, look stupid, go back to the dugout. a whole bunch of times, and the game is boring and it's slow, and strikeouts aren't good. Strikeouts going up 30% in the last 15 years, and hit by pitch doubling. And hit by pitch doubling in the last 15 years is the real issue. If fastball velocity goes up 5 miles an hour and hit by pitch gets doubled, and we don't intentionally hit batters now, right? Like maybe, you know, Mercedes, right, got thrown at, right, for hitting the 3-0 homer, right? They gave give him one next time up. That's very rare. In the money ball age of baseball, we don't go intentionally hitting batters. In the 1970s, if you hit a dinger off me in the first, I'm putting you on first base with a beanball in the fourth, just because I'm mad, right? That was the era of the sport. And now we've doubled hit by pitch since the intentional hit by pitch era. So that shows that we've just lost control altogether. And velocities are so high that we've made it so dangerous. It was a lethal sport. People have died. Ray Chapman died. Caniglio, Kirby Puckett, almost Bryce Harper, Kevin Pillar's nose. And now, so it's like, that was one of the big things that I was focusing on, was that this is not just cheaters. This is an issue. What if we lose a great player? What if we lost Bryce? You know, it would be a different story if we lost Bryce. We'd be talking about it a hell of a lot differently. You know, that goal is something that needs to be focused on, as opposed to spin rate. You know, let's get a few more Greg Maddoxes out there, as opposed to Greg Maddox ain't going to kill anybody. You know, so it's a health issue too. But the steroid punishment, I feel, is I'm just basing that off of people saying the line that using spider tack on your fingers is steroids. So if it's steroids, then steroids seems like a good punishment.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think it's at least a good start. I don't know. I mean, obviously, like the 3-time ban thing, that would be like, I mean, here's the thing. If you're cheating that often and it's being that obvious, I think that, you should be, doing, I think there should be some punishments for it. There probably does need to be like some, probably some sort of amending before they get to that point. But, it's gotten so crazy. I mean, I'm probably just worried about, half the league getting suspended at this point.
Yeah, I know that it's a lot of the league, but wouldn't you rather just, like, to me, I would rather just see the remainder of this season. Like, what are you teaching pitchers to do right now? You're teaching them you're teaching them to cheat and to, like, throw with a substance. Right now, if they're cheating for the remainder of the season, then they're going to cut it off. They're learning how to throw incorrectly this year, and then they're going to have to learn how to throw again next year with a different ball and substance that they approve of. Like, it shouldn't have the warning signs. We're 5 years into this thing. We're not on day one. This has been a problem that's slowly been exposed. And like I said, it's gone from the rosin and sunscreen being the league-wide foreign substance to it now being these Spider-Man hand spider tack stuff. And that has spread to, let's say, 30% of the league. Okay. 30%. And that has happened since 2018. Okay. It's been this constant spread of it being a spin rate substance as opposed to a control substance. And that spread has not been dealt with, and it's just expanded. And Mike Fiers goes out and teaches a few guys, and Garrett Cole goes out and teaches a few guys, and Bauer teaches his teammates in Cincinnati, and it spreads. And it spreads because it wasn't dealt with. Okay. And just the idea of delaying the punishment. A lot of people on my page come up and say, it doesn't matter, everybody cheats in baseball. That's where we are right now. Baseball is just synonymous with cheating, and
it's bad.
It took a judge, Kennesaw Mountain Landis, who was a huge racist, to come in and clean up the league and then ruin it for another 30 years for African Americans, right? Cleans up the league, but keeps blacks out till 1947. So it's just like, you have to give and you take with baseball. You get something and you lose something else. It's just terrible.
It's absurd. Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, with this, it's going to be insanely tough to fix. I mean, like, obviously
just hire me to go to every single game, as many games as possible, like Miami Marlins fan, and I'll just out him. I'll just have a little weird like badge on, and I'll come out and they're like, "There's Commy. He's coming out to get him," and I'll just be like, "You're cheating." And I'll take all the flack. I'll take all the booze. I don't care. I'll do it for nothing. If that's as easy as it could be, I'll just go and I'll just get everybody. I don't care. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't. It really doesn't.
I mean, listen. If you're at Miami games, I don't think anyone's gonna be booing you. I mean, I think you might have the house to yourself.
Yeah, I'll hear Miami guy. I don't even think Marlins fan goes to Marlins games, does he?
I don't think he does. I think he stopped going.
With the orange Marlins jersey.
I mean, how could I forget? No, I think you're right. I don't even think he goes to the games anymore.
I saw him at a Cardinals game last week. I saw him at
really
at the He was at a Cubs Cardinals game, the one where Javi Baez hit the 2-run homer in the 10th to win it last week. I was watching that game. I'm like, oh, Marlins guy's there. That's what I would. I'd go to watch NL Central games or Yankees Red Sox. That's where I'd be with my Marlins jersey.
Oh, that's great. I actually have like an orange D Gordon jersey in my closet right now.
Oh, there you go. That exact one.
Yeah. No, it's like identical. I mean, if you actually give me a sec.
Oh yeah, I have to see it. You should go as Marlins fan with that then. I have to see this.
Hey, here we go. I'm back. My apologies. Yeah.
Oh, there it is. There's Marlins fan right there, D Gordon.
Oh. I've worn that thing on the show so many times at this point. It's hilarious. It's bad. But it's absurd. People will be watching it. I just look like a human traffic cone. It's great. But obviously you've mentioned that you think pitchers should just come together and just try to find a substance that you think will work best.
Yeah, and hitters too. Just get a group of them. Like the Players Association, and you get Soto, Freddie Freeman, Tatis. You get the best hitters together. And you sit them down with the best pitchers, and they go in. You take some minor league pitchers. You get them to come in and unbiasedly throw a bullpen session, and you go, oh, okay. Oh, that's too much spin. How does that feel for control? That feels good. You feel good. Oh, it seems like you're locating really well here. And you just do a nice study. You go to some lab, and you just figure out, because obviously rosin isn't. It sits there. You watch some games and it just sits behind the mound the entire game. Mm. Well, what's it there for? Yeah. What's the purpose of that? So we've moved beyond it. It doesn't. Sunscreen and rosin doesn't work when it's October and you can't. Yeah. It's cold and it doesn't work. So they want something new. They want a new substance. So let's find something. Let's find something that sits at around 150 RPM gain that gives them the control, that isn't creating wipeout breaking balls and unhittable fastballs for everybody. Gotta find that happy medium ground.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm glad I was able to talk with you about illegal substances really quickly before we do end up going. Another thing you're very well known for on your channel is kind of proposing some solutions to the game. Obviously, and critiquing some as well. As a fan, I've tried to think of different ways to improve the game. Because I think Manfred just sucks at it. But one of the big moves that I saw you make was talking about possibly trying to move the outfield fences back. Maybe obviously you explained in the video, but on here, do you want to maybe explain your point with it?
See, that one might get jumped on a lot right now, because moving the fences back wouldn't help baseball right now. Now, with batting averages in the 230s and everything, it wouldn't really help baseball out right now.
I feel like another dead ball era.
Yeah, but if you think of if you eliminate foreign substance from the game, right? Mm-hmm. Then your hard contact is going to increase, right? And hard hit balls are going to increase. You've got a very home run approach. When they used the juice ball the previous year, 19, all the home run records fell for teams. Individual team home run records just fell. And my idea there was, if you can get a league where they're having more solid contact, like look at Fenway.
Yeah.
Fenway is a great ballpark because of its incredible diversity in the field. Okay. You're going to get the right-handed hitters who hit the ball off the monster and get 50 doubles. You're going to get the guys who are able to put it into that triangle there in center field by the bullpens, squeak out those triples, or the left-handed guys who pull it like that. The pesky pull homer is hard. That's a hard homer to get, because when it curves back around, it goes to being some of the deepest corner infields in baseball. It goes to about 380. It goes
it shoots out there.
Yeah, it just shoots out there. So it's like it's a give and take stadium, right? Like a lot of home runs go for doubles, but a lot of fly balls go for doubles. So you're getting this give and take from the stadium. But like contemporary nowadays ballpark design are just kind of like little short porches, little short porches without that. Like Colorado knew that balls fly there, so they built a big outfield. And I would love to see more outfields that are designed to take away the no doubles defense. It's like if you make outfields that are so big that you could drop a ball in front of an outfielder, and by the time he gets to it, your guy might get to second base because the outfield's so big, and you're trying to play double defense in like Forbes Field in Pittsburgh in the 50s. It's like, it's not going to work, right? So it was more of an idea that we've just gotten kind of. Yankee Stadium is short down the lines, but when you get to the power alleys in center field, big ballpark, right? It's that combination of being cheap and being big at the same time. And I think we see a lot of just cheaply, shortly designed ballparks because they're going to get the home runs, are going to get the cheers. And like you look at like Anaheim, Tampa, like the short wall at Dodger Stadium. That's like it's about hip height.
Yeah,
like that's not. It's just kind of stuff like that we've got these really, really great athletes who swing so hard. The exit velocities are so good.
Yeah,
to create more doubles, more triples, more singles, give them more land to shoot for, because the home run is just a guy trotting around the bases. I love home runs. I love them, but they kind of lose their spectacle, their beauty when doubles are down such an amount. Like a double is so exciting. Double is great to watch. Just hitting doubles after double. You should know that. You're a Fenway guy. You've seen how many rallies just double, and it's just constantly rotating that guy at second base. And I love.
I mean, we literally nicknamed Mitch Moreland Mitchie Two Bags.
There you go, right? Like you can go to Fenway Park and doubles just happen. And I wish there were more ballparks that were designed for running around the base paths. I love balls in play, and home runs, walks, and strikeouts are now at 39% of at bats end in one of those outcomes.
Yeah, it's 3 true outcomes.
Right. So you're just, a lot of the game is pitcher loading the ball or 3 true outcomes. And home runs are exciting, but how exciting is a triple? How exciting is a triple, right? When you see that guy rounding second and you're like, oh, he bobbled it. Oh, we're going to play a third. I love me a play at third base. I love seeing plays on the base paths, lots of running, and kind of short fields and home run approaches. But the other thing is a loaded ball is more prone to be hit as a home run, right? You throw a 4-seamer that's got 2,700 backspin on it. You see Juan Soto against Garrett Cole and Verlander in the World Series, right? He took that fastball left field and right field, monster moonshots on both of them, because that ball's so revved up. That ball's as juiced as the league makes it, right? Because of their increased spin rate. That physics just translates into ball flight off the bat. So
because I mean I remember Benji Molina getting that triple at Fenway.
Oh wow. See, that's a catcher getting a triple will sit in your mind as much as Harper's walk-off slam last 2 years ago when he hit that monster shot and he was running around the bases. Like those are they get rated almost the same thing, and it's a catcher getting a triple.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the Benji triple like sets in people's mind for a different reason, just of how comical it was.
It's
But
great, right? It
it's
just
still great.
livens your spirits a
Oh
little.
yeah. No,
Yeah, love it.
I mean, I don't know about you, but my old high school field, we used to call it the bucket, because it was, also known as the shit bucket. But but they finally put a fence in there. I graduated in 2019 from there, but they finally put an outfield fence in there. They're probably gonna put it a little further back. But man, when you were at that field, like you had like the shorter porches to kind of like left and right fields, they were still like relatively good shots for like high schoolers. We had a very tall fence, but like once you got to center field, this thing just jetted out into a triangle. Like it was
Oh
just
yeah.
because it also like counted as like a field hockey soccer field,
Oh, I
and like
got you. When
and
they're
this thing.
building new stadiums out of baseball, it's great.
No, yeah, this thing just went straight out there, and I remember it's like you'd have a better chance at like getting an inside the park home run or like even a triple. I remember my buddy Pat Edwards, who I had on the show, my last episode. He by no means was a fast runner by any means. I'm so sorry, Pat. But I remember we were playing Blackstone Millville Regional, and this kid belts out a triple, and I'm just dying laughing, like just because of how it was astounding to see this kid get a triple. Like you would have not thought in your wildest dreams, if you had seen that kid sophomore year, it would have been, it was hilarious, and he got a triple out of it. And then I remember like, if you wanted to hit it out of there, it needed to be a good shot. I remember like my senior year during the playoffs, this kid on our team, his name was Brendan Fosher. He steps up to the plate. He hit one home run, kind of casually over the left field fence. He comes up the next time, and he absolutely launches the ball straight to. It's honestly, it was the furthest ball I've ever seen hit live. Like this thing took off, and our bench just erupted. Like we mobbed the field for this kid. Like we killed the team. It was like 18-2. Like we mobbed this team in the playoffs. We felt so good about it, and it was terrible. But like this kid absolutely hit it, and like he went up to the plate, and I think he looked at his friend, and she said to him, "Hey, hit another one." He goes up, and I'm just yelling at her. I'm yelling at her. I'm like, "He hit another! He hit another! Let's go!" I was so electric for it. Like, but no, like when you have to like earn it like that, there is kind of something to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You think about like Wrigley and how Wrigley is kind of the opposite, that old school design, how the corners actually shoot back,
Yeah.
and then it comes in for the rest of the outfield, right? The corners actually extend outward, and then you've got that big Wrigley Field fence to deal with too, right? That the old school designs, they seem to understand that they wanted the action to be on the field a little bit more.
Yeah, it reminds me of another field. I'm sorry, I'm kind of getting carried away, but there was another field I played at. It was called it was like the town over for me. It was in Northbridge, Massachusetts, but it was called Vale. It was called Vale, and this thing left field was the deepest part of the park because you'd step up to the plate. The backstop was like 40 feet back. It was stupid. And right field, it was like deep out to like this children's playground. Left field, it was like deep out to like the street. And then center field, it was like the fence for center field was a softball fence. So the softball fence came in. And the shape of this park was hilarious at the time. Like somehow like the easiest home run to hit there was straightaway center.
That's a unique design.
It was the weirdest field I ever played at. But kind of going off some other changes in baseball. I'm not really pro pitch clock. I know you said, when talking about foreign substances, you think that, eliminating that would kind of negate the use of a pitch clock.
Yeah, I feel like the ball loading is the reason you see these big gaps in between. Like that, there's no other reason to step off the mound and do a full circle, walking around, looking at things and doing all that, like on balls that are just like ball one caught, thrown back, and the guy gets off the mound and does a walk, and you're like, I wonder what he's doing. It's when you see guys like I said before with Wade Miley and Kwang Hyun Kim from the Cardinals. These guys are 7 seconds between pitches, and it's the most exciting game you've seen. When you watch these guys pitch, you can't like take your eyes off the game because it's like catch, all right, another pitch.
It looks like the game's is at like 1.5 speed.
Yeah, like I did. Some guys take 45 seconds between pitches. I did a video about Kim where I have him throw 2 pitches, and then I throw a like 15-second commentary about his strikeout pitch in slow motion, and it's all in 30 seconds. So I get 3 pitches from Kim in 30 seconds, and one is in slow motion. And it's like, that's how fast this guy throws. He doesn't throw the ball fast. He's just not giving the pitchers the hitters any time to think at the plate. I told you this before. It takes 12 seconds for a batter to think along with the pitcher on what pitch is coming next. And he comes at you at 7 seconds. So you're just like, as a batter, you're just like, oh, he's ready again. Oh, give me a second to think here. You're stepping out, you're calling time, you're doing anything to let your mind think along with him, because he's a speed chess player. Ryu is a speed chess player. Maeda, all these Korean ball players, all these Korean pitchers come over and they've learned, get the ball, accept the sign, throw the ball. Get the ball, accept the sign, throw the ball. And that just baffles hitters over here in the United States. They're just like, slow down. They're throwing 89.
They have no response.
Slow down.
Yeah, it's like, there's no response for it. It's insane. I mean, I remember I think Koji used to be pretty fast when he was over here in Boston. Like, guys like that, they just get the ball off, and it's crazy to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I've also never been pro pitch clock because of like, you think of guys like in the playoffs, like when
like stepping off and stuff. I'm not pro pitch clock either. I don't like that idea. I just think the reason it's been brought up is because some pitchers have really ruined pace of play. It's way too
no, I mean, it becomes egregious. I mean, there's already MLB rules that state like, hey, if the pitcher doesn't deliver the ball in this amount of time, call it a ball. Like, there are rules for it. You can enforce it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, the rules do exist. Another rule that I'm definitely not a big fan of, I mentioned it with you, was the I asked you this question, was about starting runners on second base in extra innings. I hate that rule. I think when a home team is supposed to have like the advantage in the game and is supposed to have the last at bat. I feel like when you put a runner on second base, I know the home team gets it too. But like, if you get a runner on and that away team hits that single, they've scored the like the leading run at the time. That momentum's going to shift. Like, yeah, sure, you might be able to do that very next inning, but like the idea of like, okay, now we're down a run, it's not tied. Like, and like I feel like that it completely shifts the competitiveness of it.
I don't like that you can get a pitcher can come in and get 2 outs and give up a run. He can come in.
Yeah.
You sack the guy over to third, then you get a fly ball and 2 outs have scored a run, and he's done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
He has done nothing wrong. He's gotten 2 outs, and it kind of contradicts the concept of 3 outs by giving you by progressing you into the inning before an at bat. Like to get base progression without an at bat happening makes no sense to the concept of 3 outs. It just doesn't. And I think what my thing was is like I understand that 18 inning games might be an issue now with like 162 games now is a hell of a lot tougher than 162 games about 40 years ago with added velocity and everything like that. The game is sped up and the game is pretty nasty. It's not, they've taken away some of the nasty elements like collisions at home plate and tried to keep it so that guys can play a full season. But like, guys are still like, health in baseball is still a big thing. And that 162 game season, no matter what any other sports fans say about baseball, Ed, that is a marathon. That is an absolute 162 games in 180 days. That is nuts. And I don't want to see 18 inning, 24 inning games in April. So like, I don't like the runner at second. I could see it. Like, you put a runner at second and then you just walk a guy so that the force is on. And the approach already seems to be kind of like standard that you're going to like, and like you said, if they score the run there, then the home team, you're like, all the approaches change off of this weird curveball that you've thrown baseball. And I could see it
exactly
instituted later in a game, like the 12th, and you put a runner on first. I still don't like that 2 outs score a run. So if you put a runner on first, you can't do that. You sack him over to second and then you hit that fly ball and he's still at second, right? He's not scoring now. It's a little,
or even at third.
Yeah. right? Like I don't like the idea at all of putting any runners on, but don't put it in the 10th. The 10th is too quick to institute that. They've gotten to the 10th. Now give them an opportunity to play for one run. Okay. The game has now become a one run situation. Give the team their bottom of the 10th to play for one run. If they can shut them out in the top, give that team that chance to get a guy on, move him over and play for one run to win. That's a big issue, is that guys are coming up in situations and taking terribly bad approaches when they need to score one run. You don't need a 3-run homer. A walk-off is that guy there will be the run. Just get that guy home. So if baseball, teams could start to take that approach to just get that one run in maybe the 10th and 11th and institute something in the 12th, to say, let's get this going, maybe put a runner on first. I can see it a little bit later on, but don't do it in the 10th. The 10th is, there's still so much of a bullpen. You're saying that a team's like, you're just trying to end it when a team's depth is being, a team that has depth and has the ability to play another 5 innings of shutout ball because their bullpen's good, is getting kind of crapped on because you're forcing runs in earlier. So you're eliminating the value of depth.
That makes sense. No, absolutely. And I really do appreciate your take with that. I mean, Commy, just in general, man, I really appreciate what you've been able to do, what you've been able to talk about on the show today. I really do appreciate it, man.
No problem, Brian.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, I hope to possibly get you on again. Hopefully get you on again to talk some more baseball. Maybe
this is an ending tomorrow. So,
yeah, absolutely, man. I really do appreciate it, man.
No, I appreciate you having me on. This has been great. Yeah. Let me know anytime. I'm happy to come back on.
Yeah, absolutely. But, if you guys are not following Down to the Wire on social media yet, what are you guys doing? I mean, listen, we're on Spotify, Apple. I'm so sorry for you guys, but we are on YouTube, Google Podcasts, and so many other platforms. But the main platform to reach us through is our Instagram. You can follow that at down.to-the-wire on Instagram. Again, at down.to-the-wire. Commy, once again, man, thank you so much. And from Down to the Wire, I'm Brian Costa.
I'm Commy. Hey, Commy, at TikTok.
And we'll see you guys next time. Take